If you've ever taken a math class, which, you're in high school, so I hope that you've taken a math class by this point, then you can thank the Indians. Okay, so we're going to be looking at period 2 India today, so our classical empires in India. And much like China, there are two main dynasties that we need to know for India, the Mauryan Dynasty and the Gupta Dynasty. The Mauryan Dynasty was started by Chandragupta Mauryan. Chandragupta, 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 Chandragupta. Try saying that 5 times fast. So Chandragupta ruled through an autocratic rule, basically meaning that he ruled the military and the government single-handedly. And remember, India, just like China, is made up of several different states and principalities, and so Chandragupta united these principalities by force, didn't let them have much say in their own local rule. After Chandragupta died, his grandson Ashoka came to the throne, and Ashoka led this lavish lifestyle until he converted to Buddhism. And after he converted to Buddhism, he ruled through the principles of Buddhism. His empire and dynasty ended, however, when the Kushans invaded. The Guptas, not to be confused with Chandragupta, totally different dynasty. The Guptas came in after the Kushans left. And even though they don't have significant rulers, single rulers that we're really going to talk about, overall they made a much bigger impact on Indian society, especially in period 2. Unlike the Mauryans, the Guptas ruled through the local rulers, and so the local rulers had more of a say in how their region was governed. The Guptas are also going to institute a taxation system, and while you might think that taxes are bad, if you've ever driven over a pothole and want that to be fixed, then taxes aren't that bad, because the money to fix the potholes comes from the government, and the government gets money from taxes. Like the Chinese, the Indians had a universal language under the Guptas known as Sanskrit. The Guptas also oversaw the development of the numbers, the Arabic numbers that we use today, including 0 and the decimal system. And so instead of writing like this, the way the Romans did, we use math like this. And so if you're doing an equation, it's much easier to do this than to do this. So you can thank the Indians that we write in Arabic numbers instead of Roman numerals. And again, we'll get to why they're called Arabic numbers later on. Under the Guptas, they had inoculation against smallpox, which basically means that they had a vaccine for smallpox, which would have been really helpful for the Native American Indians later on when the Europeans came over. Under the Guptas, they're going to have sterilization and surgery and medical advances. And sterilization and surgery is a big deal because if you sterilize your equipment and if you wash your hands before surgery, the patient's much less likely to get a disease from the surgery. This would have been something that could have saved hundreds of thousands of lives in other parts of the world if they would have copied what the Indians were doing. The Indians also had advances in astronomy. Under both dynasties, we have the caste system, but under the Guptas, the lower caste have more rights than under the Mauryan dynasty. Under the Guptas, we have a patriarchal society. See, again, I told you would need to know this. Though this patriarchal society is hardcore. So not only do we have patriarchal societies with arranged marriages, but say the husband dies, and part of the funeral of that time is that you'd burn the body. The wife had to do a practice called the Sati, where she would jump on her dead husband's burning body and die herself. So basically sacrifice herself because her husband was dead. Whereas if the wife had died, the husband would probably just get a new wife. And I love my husband, but if he were already dead and they wanted me to jump on his burning body and die myself, I don't think so, and I don't think he would want me to do that either. Lastly, the Indians were involved in trade, especially Silk Road trade and a little bit of the Indian Ocean trade, which again we'll talk more about in period 3. So those are your 2 dynasties that you need to know for period 2 India. Next time we will look at Persia and Greece. I'll see you then.